Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 3-0 Take, where we talk all things Major League Baseball. Here's Kyle Corwin and Nate Reyes. It all starts right now.
Oh, welcome back to the 3-0 Take, presented by SeatGeek. This is episode 502. I'll be your host, Kyle Corwin. I'm here with my co-host, Nate Reyes. Nate.
Hey, hi, how you do? Look at us, the tan. I like this.
All about the crew neck life these days.
Might have to adapt it.
I mean,
okay if I steal that?
Go for it. I mean, I'm hoodie for life, but I'm the crew neck life is
it almost
I'm dabbing in it.
It like doubles. It doubles.
Dabbing.
You know what I mean? It doubles up as like perfect at home, but also like you throw a pair of jeans on and like I think it's widely accepted in most settings. Good for you.
Thank you. Before we get into it, Barista Bryce, can I just...
Bro, that was it. That was it. That was
we
it.
got it. Can we talk about Barista Bryce for just a second?
Unbelievable.
I mean, where has this been all my life?
I love it. I'm so here for it.
Where has Barista Bryce been all my life? This is the kind of content. Shout out Bryce Harper. This is the kind of content we need. And by we, really just 30 years old and older, honestly. Like, I don't know if the kids care as much about Barista Bryce, but I tell you what, it hits the spot. And I'm not even really a coffee guy, but I'll tell you what, when I saw these Barista Bryce TikTok videos, within the hour, I found myself going to buy a nice coffee. So do what you will with that information, but the
have you
subliminal marketing works.
Have you dabbled in the other ones? Like I got real caught up on a banana bread one. You made homemade banana bread.
I saw the banana bread.
It was like the sliced banana, like shaped out like on top. I was like, that's a classy touch. I had no idea. Unbelievable. Big time here for it. Not at all surprised by the bougie ingredients, by the way. Not at all surprised. Every ingredient is ridiculous. Like I think he uses like coconut sugar.
I mean, look at this. Yeah. What is that? What is that?
Yeah.
I'm here for it, though. I love
delightful. Yeah.
I love it.
I'm so glad that you and I had the same mentality, and I'm so glad we held off on what it was going to be. Did I give it away where I was like, I have something that's like positive that we can actually start a show with something positive for once? I didn't give it away?
No, you didn't give it away, because at that point I was still racking my brain. I'm like, what's something I can start off with off the top here? But then it hit me. I was like, I was all in on the Barista Bryce content like yesterday, and just needed to jog the memory a little bit. But we need more of that.
Some things just grab the attention.
Dare I say too little too late, though? Like, I would have loved to have seen it. I take that back.
He's settled into this chapter in life. So
You're
have
right.
we.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Exactly happening in the perfect time.
Now, I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna show this to some people in my life, some coworkers, some friends who do not keep up with the evolution of Bryce Harper's career.
That's true. They probably just pegged him as a jerk at 16 and just stayed there. Yeah.
And then you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna show him this picture.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, you're gonna tell me that guy. You're gonna tell me that
with
guy.
Smiley face hoodie.
He's wearing a smiley face hoodie with a beanie on, and he's holding a loaf of banana bread. You're going to tell me that guy's the jerk that you pegged at 16? Get out of here.
Oh, it's so
the caption,
good.
Bed, Bath, and Bananas.
That's so good. I'm super here for it.
Where is it? There was this. He's holding up the whole milk, talking about how, when we don't have raw milk, this is my next go-to. And I'm like,
bougiest ingredients. I love it.
Unbelievable. What one of one, Bryce Harper.
Yeah,
I'm
big
here
time.
for the Barista Bryce content. Gonna need more of that. All right, let's talk some current events here. Let's talk free agents yet to find a home. I was gonna title the episode like homeless free agents, but I'm like, that's in poor taste. But
it's a little clickbaity.
But they are, the reality of it is they are, as of this moment, as of
Jobless.
10:32, jobless. Correct. That's correct. As of 10:33 p.m. Eastern on Monday, January 13th, these players that we're about to discuss are without a job. So let's just start right off the top here.
Which means one of these guys is absolutely signing before the next episode. So you're welcome, everybody.
You're welcome. We are the straw that stirs the drink.
That's right.
You're welcome.
That's right. No
right
egos
off the top,
here.
right off the top. We are the straw that stirs the iced latte.
The Bryce latte.
The Bryce latte. Alex Bregman. Do I think that he's going to end up on the Red Sox? Thanks for asking, Nate.
You're welcome.
At this point, yes, I do.
Oh,
I do. And there's a lot of speculation as to whether what's happening right now with Alex Bregman is just the Red Sox waiting it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, I think I subscribe to that philosophy, to that belief that they want Bregman. The Red Sox are ultimately okay figuring out another option for Rafael Devers positionally, whether it be first base or DH. And they want to make Alex Bregman their corner guy. I don't know if that's smart though, because I wouldn't want to put it past the Tigers, because if the reports are true, if it is ultimately the Red Sox and the Tigers as the final two in the hunt for Alex Bregman, do I think that the Red Sox should, or do I think the Tigers should be any sort of financial threat to the Red Sox, given that the Red Sox are, at the end of the day, the Boston Red Sox, and they should behave as such? No, I don't think the Tigers should be any sort of threat. But I wouldn't put it past them. Like, if that's the guy that you want, we've seen it play out with other free agents that maybe you were connected to, that you were maybe in on, maybe even a front runner for at one point, but you lost out because you tried to get too cute with it. So if you want Alex Bregman, just go get Alex Bregman, because you have yet to really spend significant money yet. You've acquired guys via trades, via savvy, moves at the table, but you've yet to go out and get that free agent. You've extended guys, sure, but you have yet to go out and cut a check for a free agent. Significant check.
So, I mean, because what I was reading a few days ago, probably last week at this point, I guess we can get into it later, but I feel like now is the right time. Like, that Arenado getting moved is solely down to the Red Sox at this point. Like, no one else is going to be doing it. It's either the Red Sox or he's not moving. That's what I'm reading. There's the Rye guy. Been
Ryan,
too long, Rye guy.
Ryan, where are you at? Can we get...
Do you think he's got his mic on him? He's just gonna hop in the studio?
At this point, the people just need Ryan Ripken in his car. I saw he's doing TikToks walking down the street now. Have you seen this?
Oh, I know. Well, just like, it's like just snowing. There's no one else on the street. It could be 2 a.m. for all I know.
All right. He said, drop a link. I can hop in.
Rye guy's coming.
Let's get Ryan.
It's
been so long. How do I send him the link?
Mid-ep? Mid-live sesh?
I'm going to send him the link. Let's get him in here.
I know he's fixing his hair right now.
Right, where you at?
Should I even say what I was going to say?
Go for it.
I feel like my thunder's been stolen a little bit, personally. But it's all right. For Rye Guy, that's the only place my thunder should go. So the Arenado thing, like we're just moving on from that. We think that's dead. It's Bregman or bust.
No, if you're asking me as like a Red Sox guy, I'm okay with either. At this stage in the game, though, as much as I love Nolan Arenado, the thought of Alex Bregman and the fact that I'm going to say positional flexibility, but I don't need him at second base. I just think he's a better at this stage in their respective careers. I think Alex Bregman is just a better option, a better fit for that infield.
Here's my thing: is that like I wonder if the conversations are being had that a trading of an aging Nolan Arenado, an aging probably on the downhill slide of his career, Nolan Arenado. I don't think it's a strong enough move to move Devers off of third base. I don't know if it's a strong enough reason. You see what I'm saying?
Are we talking Bregman?
No.
For Arenado.
I don't know if getting Arenado does that move justice.
I disagree.
I think getting a Bregman for 6 years, I think moves Devers out of third base a little. It's an easier conversation, I think, versus taking on an aging third baseman with a lot of dead cash and who will likely not live up to majority of that contract. Whereas Bregman, there's still some hope there. That's my opinion on it.
Well, if you're talking like defensive urgency or defensive,
of course, Nolan's
skill.
better than Bregman. I do agree there. I'm just saying overall, to move your franchise superstar out of his position, whether it's a good thing or not, of course, almost any other defensive replacement is going to give you an uptick than what Devers has provided. But to move, I think it's just the optics of it. To move your superstar off at third base.
But the problem is
fat contract of a Nolan Arenado and an offensive question mark.
Now, see, I don't necessarily think it would be bad optics because he's ending up as a DH anyway. And if you're bringing in one of, like, I get it, aging, but if you're bringing in one of the better defensive third basemen we've seen in our lifetime, even if it's for a couple of years, to me, that's all the more reason to expedite the process of getting Rafi to the DH slot. And Bregman, you could say the same thing. I would argue bringing in Nolan is more of a reason to push Rafi off a third, because at least with if you brought in Bregman, you could be like, well, we could try him at second and experiment with that and see how that goes, even though I don't think that's really in the plans. I think that's just lip service, but I don't know.
I don't know either. I am surprised that Bregman hasn't signed yet. I do think that if the Tigers go towards Bregman and make that happen and reunite with AJ Hinch, I think that gives them a lot of flexibility because that infield is super deep. There's a lot of pieces there that they could then move to add and bolster that rotation, which is what we all know is what they needed in the postseason last year. The Tigers need to add to that. And it feels like maybe the rest of the free agent pool would be forcing that. It feels like they maybe weren't in the hunt for some of these bigger names. And so I think that their best bet is to kind of look to what's available in the market and then move some of your assets that are a little bit deeper. I think a Torkelson could grab a lot of attention. And there's a lot of teams that are missing out on first baseman or struggling in that area, or maybe even needing some right-handed pop. That you know, if you wanted to bring in a Bregman, I think they talked about who are they putting at first right now? They're having a conversation about was it Colt Keith?
I assumed
I
he
can't
was
remember.
second.
They have like what seems like 6 middle infielders that are just kind of spread out right now. And the addition of Gleyber Torres is interesting.
Oh, true. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
You know what I'm saying?
I completely forgot about the Gleyber signing. So as of right now,
But there's
it looks like
question marks there.
He's pegged at second, and Colt Keith is projected to be the first baseman.
And then you have Torkelson at DH. So like, are you done with Torkelson? Like that's what I'm saying is that if you do bring in another infielder like a Bregman, which seems to be the most obvious one,
it's showing Kerry Carpenter at the DH slot. Torkelson's not even in the mix here.
Yeah, see, and then I think it's time to start shopping that maybe. You know, it's been a little bit of a weird ride. He's a first round pick. He's obviously got talent. Maybe just a little bit of a change of scenery, but like being sent down and still not really figuring it out. I don't know. Maybe time to move on.
Speaking of change of scenery, let's get Rye Guy in here.
Look at the beard. Bearded Rye Guy. Oh, we can't hear him.
This guy's, oh my goodness.
Oh my. I thought he was buttoned up at this point.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Yeah. He talks all the time about all the stuff we did to teach him the ropes in the early going. And clearly we didn't teach him how to turn the mic on.
We're back to the beginning right now, right? But always a pleasure, guys. Hey, happy 500th, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate you, Rye.
I'm well behind you guys on my side. But what I was saying about the beard, Nate, was playoff beard in Baltimore. You know, Ravens.
Hey,
that's been the busy time for us. Obviously, baseball's heating up. That's where we get a lot of the synergy from. You know, I can't wait for baseball season. But yes, football is still buzzing as long as the Ravens are staying in the hunt here. So.
I'm in. Yes. I was just telling Kyle before we hopped on. I'm in a fantasy postseason or a playoff league, and Derrick Henry went in for me. So
you're welcome.
Big Ravens guy on the AFC side at least. So good for you, guy. Good for you. It's about time you had a little momentum being carried in Baltimore. You know what I mean? That getting a first playoff victory is sometimes a big step over there.
Well, wait a minute. They had one last year, but I think
I was just an Orioles slight. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. It wiped away some of the Orioles conversations. But you know what? Since you guys were talking about Bregman, you know, and talking about the Red Sox, hey, I got to tell you guys, and Kyle, I think the Red Sox are actually going to be a bigger threat than the Yankees for the season as it moves on.
Can we just all, since we're all AL East guys here, can we just acknowledge that the American League is pretty wide open as it stands right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very wide open. I mean, do you want
I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, as they sip their drinks. Right. Well, this is actually a great segue because we're talking top guys who have yet to be signed. Hopefully the ball gets rolling here with the market soon. But for the time being, talk to me about a couple former Orioles at this point. Jack Flaherty, Anthony Santander. The report just came out recently that said that both of those individuals are open to the idea of shorter term contracts in comparison to maybe the longer term contracts that they were hoping for. But at this stage of the game, I think, I don't know if it's smart, but it maybe the way the market's gone thus far, maybe it's forced their hand. So talk to me about where you possibly see these guys, where you like these two as fits.
So, you know, it's fascinating, right? How this market has kind of gone, especially for how it felt like it was really sizzling. And so this past year, and I talked to you guys a little bit, but going to the winter meetings and being there, and we're setting up shop, and you could see like the momentum happen, the Soto move and the Garrett Crochet trade. And then we had these up and down moments, but then it picked back up. And now here we are on January 13th as we're talking about this. And there's some big names still in the market. Like you guys mentioned Alex Bregman, but then talking specifically about Tony Taters, Anthony Santander, and Jack Flaherty. These are two impactful players. And I think that the pitching market side, I'll start with Jack. I think that Jack wants a longer deal, which I understand. A lot of teams don't want to do that. I mean, hell, Max Fried getting 8 was so out of the world that no one was going to touch that. Then Jack's had a little bit of an injury history, great bounce back last year. So which side are you going to buy? And it just seems like a lot of those teams were saying, yeah, I'd be okay with maybe a 2 to 3 year deal if I'd give it to Jack. And I think now it's coming to that realization. Quite frankly, for Jack, I think once Roki makes a decision here, that's going to open it up, even though I will say, like, I think the Giants being ruled out, like, that seems like a good fit. If they're interested still, he's a West Coast guy. The Oriole conversation to me didn't make the most sense. He's good though, man. He is a very good pitcher. I don't know if you guys watched a lot of his difference. Did we talk about Flaherty's difference, like what he changed from the Orioles year and the Cardinals year to last year? We talked about that?
We may have touched on it, but tell me more about it though, because I'm in the camp as it stands right now, and maybe you can change my mind on it, but I don't think that any degree of length for a contract that he would receive would age well. I just don't. Like I just feel like he's gonna have to be. Maybe not for. Well, I mean, he's at a point now in his career where this kind of has to be the opportunity for him to grab one of those longer deals. But maybe it's just if he doesn't get the deal he's looking for now, he may just have to piece together 2-3 year deals for the remainder of his career, sort of like a Nathan Eovaldi is starting to do, I guess, at this stage of his career. Maybe he takes that sort of route. But I just don't think his body of work, his skill set, maybe, I just don't know if that's going to age well because it lacks consistency, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, the bigger thing I saw with Jack, I mean, look, he was dynamite when he came out of when he broke onto the scene, right? You know, his first couple years were really, really good. And then he dealt with injuries and a little bit of inconsistency. And then it was kind of like, all right, what Jack Flaherty are we going to get? And then in 2023, it wasn't very good. So he was on the Prove It deal last year, right, with the Tigers, plays well, gets traded over. His stuff's really good. The problem is, part of that is, all right, do you believe he's going to stay healthy for a while? But if you do believe he's healthy, hey, he's a guy in his prime. You know, he's only, gosh, if I do my math correctly, he's 29, right? Am I doing my math right?
Which is weird because it feels like he's been in the league forever.
Yes. So
29, turned 29 in October.
Yeah, so 29 in October right now. So you guys are getting that whole pitch of it, right? So in this case, it's a guy of the options. The upside, I think, is really there. And a guy also, like, he's a strikeout pitcher. I don't think people realize that as much. Last year was a bounce back. Where I was going with what he changed, Kyle, just to like finish that, and why I would have interest in him for the 2 to 3 year, solely because of the pitcher's longevities. It's a hard thing to just commit that many years to guys. Like,
Sure.
Fried, Corbin, Garrett Cole in the past. Like, you want to sign these bigger length contracts by all means, because you're trusting those guys' track records. Jack has the stuff, but you can't trust the track record. So the thing that he changed in 23 to 24, I have the video I could pull up. Maybe I'll indulge you guys later. I could present on here, but Jack's out pitch is a curveball, and I had it pulled up on stats. You know what? Screw it. I got to find this. I wonder if I can pull this up for you guys. Do you mind if I pull this up?
You do.
Go for it.
Okay. Don't worry about me. But the breakdown, I think this is it. Before I make myself seem like a fool, I'll make sure it's the right file. But essentially, Jack, his cutter and his slider were too similar. So he said, screw it, I'm going to get rid of the cutter altogether. And I thought it was the best thing he could have possibly done, because when he did, it made his other pitchers even that much better. Like you mentioned. So, and of course, now when I want to pull this up, I can't find my video. No, okay, screw it. I'll just tell you guys. So, anyway, Jack made an adjustment there. That's where I was going to. He got rid of the cutter because the cutter and a slider, as you guys know about this playing the game, they can be so similar if they're flat. And his cutter and slider, when they're flat, they're just like mediocre fastballs. So if you watch moments in 23, 86, 85 mile an hour slider, meatball, same thing with a cutter being 89, doesn't move. They're two similar pitches. So for a hitter, you can't really think, it's not getting you off your thought process. If you see those pitches, it doesn't throw you off. Now, his slider and curveball, there's a deception there and a 5 mile an hour difference with a little bit more of a little hump there. And his numbers throughout his strikeout rates were through the roof. His number on curveball strikeout percentage went up, slider up, and then his fastball location, which got really more refined, that also rose. So I think him solidifying those pitches, guys, I think that Jack is going to help a team significantly. I think Jack needs to go to a contending team. It just feels like at this point it's going to be a West Coast team or it's going to be a Midwest, and the deal is going to be 2 years. I think 2 to 3 years. I wouldn't be surprised. What did Evaldi get? $25 million a year?
That sounds right. Yeah.
I think that's kind of what it is. So
2 years, 40, 45
I think
maybe.
if Walker Buehler got what? 1 for 22, 1 for 20?
What was that? Evaldi was 25, by the way.
Yeah. So I would say if I was a team looking for Flaherty, or if I was Flaherty and I'd say, hey, I'll settle, I'm thinking of a deal in between what Walker Buehler is getting, which it says is he's getting 18 this year and then 25 next year on the payroll. I would say in that range of like 20 to 25 mil, 2 to 3 years, I think Jack signs. That's just me.
See, I hear the West Coast thing. It feels to me like it has to be the Atlanta Braves. It just feels like that's such a good fit. It's such a place where he doesn't necessarily, and I'm not saying he doesn't flash the skill set at times to be at the top of the rotation, but more often than not, it feels like we know what Jack Flaherty is. If he's your middle rotation, if he's 3-4, like that feels really strong. That feels like a stronger than most 3-4 rotation guys, with the upside of, putting up top of the end of the rotation type performances at times. But like Kyle said, the consistency isn't always there. But it just feels like the Braves have missed out on a lot of stuff. You see, Uncle Charlie moving on. It just feels like they need to do something. And with all the injuries and all the guys coming back, I don't know how much of it needs to be on the offensive side. I feel like pitching is the route, and I feel like it fits. I know he's the West Coast guy, though.
Well, hey, you bring that up, and it's a good point. I think he's comfortable Midwest. I honestly, I think if the team like the Dodgers were still in play, like that makes sense for him. Could be San Diego. But first off, go where you're wanted and go where you're needed. And Atlanta, I mean, I might have missed this, but Jeff Hoffman, like you've seen all those news, right? That the Orioles had him for the physical.
Yeah.
The Braves had him for the physical as well. And they both said, like we're not doing this. So clearly there's a need. And it seemed like the deal that Hoffman was going to get, they were flirting with the idea, like, could he be pushed to being a starter? Regardless of it, Braves have been quiet. And so Jack going to where he's needed, I think is going to be, the most pressing, and the team that's most pressing, probably. I like that a lot there. Nate, if it's not going to be the AL, why not be a sneaky team like the Braves, who they are going to need to do a little bit more to compete now with a super competitive.
100%. Yeah. The Mets got better. I mean, the Phillies rotation has been added to now.
The Nats are going to be scrappy. The Nats are 1 or 2 more years away from being back to being a perennial playoff team, in my opinion. So it's it's an interesting factor here. Now, the other one there, you mentioned the other Oriole, Santander, Tony Taters, and everyone in Baltimore is disappointed he wasn't coming back. And I said this over on my work here, and I've told you guys in the past, I think the time that would have been to re-sign Tony was before the 2024 season. And then when he started playing well, then he's going, well, I want to see the market, and he deserves to see the market. But here's the problem is the market was sizzling for outfielders early, and now it's kind of hitting this halt. Teoscar Hernandez, I was a little shocked the deal that he signed because I thought maybe he was going to get a little bit more.
I agree.
But maybe it's kind of showing your hand. Well, maybe that's just what it's going to be. Now, Kyle, I'm curious. Where do you think Tony's going to go? Where would you think he would be a good fit?
Well, I'm still thinking about the point you made about the best time to sign it, because I go back to the start of this past season, and Nate, you and I were talking about this, how he wasn't proving himself to just be a power bat across the league. He was proving himself to be one of the power bats in the league. And now that we've concluded the 2024 season, you look back on the last 3 years, just home runs alone. I mean, forget any other category, just a simple statistic of home runs alone. 33, 28, 44. Who doesn't want that? Why has nobody pounced on this?
I think so. A couple things. First off, those numbers, he wasn't, with all the talent that the Orioles have, I think people are failing to recognize when you say it, you realize it. But before that point, he has been the Orioles' best offensive hitter the last 3 years. It wasn't Gunnar Henderson. It wasn't Adley Rutschman. It was Anthony Santander, best run producer, best extra base guy. It's been Tony through and through. When he gets hot, he can challenge anybody on streakiness. The one downside for Tony, which is a strength but also his weakness, is he can hit any pitch out of the zone, and then he can also swing at any pitch out of the zone and get himself in trouble. So I think the problem, at least if I'm putting my GM hat on, what do you project Tony to be in 4 years? And I think that's what teams are kind of looking at. I still think Tony's looking at like a 3-year deal. I feel like they could take him out of the outfield position. So if you do that, do you put him at first? Do you DH him? That's number one. And is there a concern that he's going to be able to continue that as he goes on? Because, right, you get to a certain threshold, and do you feel like you can kind of fall off? And that's the part of it. Hell, I think that's also why a guy like Pete Alonso, teams are afraid to give 30-some million in more than 3 years, because it's nice and the success is here. But once that offensive production isn't there, Tony and Pete are guys that aren't going to be their skill set is revolved around the big ball and revolved around driving guys in. They're not going to be the 5-tool steel bags, be these even though I know they've gotten some recognition, but like defensive specialists, that's not going to be them. So I think that when Christian Walker signed that 3-year, $60 million deal, I think that's when things started to set in that, this power market was kind of sizzling out. That's personally what I thought. I am still shocked he's not signed, but do you guys think where I don't want it to be for the American League case, but do you want to know where I think he should go? Like, if I'm the team right now and you are contending and they've made their point and they got a spot open in right field now, if they really want to use them in the American League.
We're not talking Toronto, are we?
No, I don't know what to think about Toronto. Toronto's a great city. I love the fan base. They're in on every single player, right? Every single player imaginable.
Yeah,
they're the American League
Giants.
They're the American League Giants. Yeah.
So they're in. No, it's not the Blue Jays.
We mentioned if you're contending, and I don't necessarily put them in that camp as of right now. So yeah, that would rule them out. Who do you got?
Houston Astros. You just traded away Kyle Tucker. And I thought, I'm like, are you selling the farm? Then they go, no, we're not selling our starting pitching. Framber, Blanco, we're keeping those guys. Brown, they're all there. All right, you got Altuve. You have some really good pieces there. Your bullpen is still solid. Why not get a guy that's a switch hitter? And you can use that fence in left field, short porch.
Yeah.
I think that's a great fit. I did think the Red Sox were another good fit for him at the time. But Tony's got to have to make a decision here. Is it going to be chasing the money or chasing good money and right fit? Because Toronto, I think, will give him the most, but I don't think it's the right fit for him.
I'm not going to pull at this thread because I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too much. Do you feel like we are... I think we can all agree that like a lot of our mentality and mindset probably errs on the side of accepting analytics, but still feeling attached to the old game. Are you concerned with the fact that like everything you hear about Anthony Santander or other players, even the negative comments about Juan Soto, so heavy on how defensive analytics are going to struggle with an age where he's already not great and you know it's going to get worse? I just feel like we bury that conversation over and over and over, whereas it used to be, you know what, if you got a stick, we'll figure it out. And we don't necessarily have to have a top 5 outfielder at every position because that just doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? It's like, can we just move past that and understand that like we can get value elsewhere while sacrificing other things? I don't know. I'm just tired of that conversation.
Can I just propose a comp? I don't know if this is going to be received well, but as we're talking about this is the name that comes to mind. I pulled up their numbers just to do a little compare and contrast here. Nelson Cruz. Now hear me out. Was in the league from 2005 to 2008, did not log a season where he hit more than 9 home runs until 2009, his age 28 season, 33 home runs. We go to Anthony Santander. Was in the league from 2017 to 2021 before he logged a season where he hit over 20 home runs. 2022, his age 27 season, he hits 33 home runs. Defensive liabilities, known for their sticks.
Yeah.
Well,
But this is what I'm saying is that like I just think teams, there's so many teams that use the DH as like a rotating half off day for that fourth outfielder or, you know, a other third baseman, whatever they want to do. It's just, I think teams are struggling to wrap their mind around a long-term DH. That's all they provide. And it almost ties one hand behind their back because I can speak for that as a fan of the New York Yankees that are at times screwed over with the Giancarlo Stanton and at times are, you know, spoiled in riches, but more often than not, it's kind of a pain.
Yeah, I think there's always a value for each team. You need a certain recipe of players on your team. You need the boppers. You need the guys that can really do some damage and have balls leave the ballpark, drive runners in. You're going to then have to have the scrappy hitters like on the other side, people not wanting Luis Ariz on your team, a guy that just has averaged 200 hits. 5 players the last 2 years have had over 200 hits, and Ariz has done that twice. So there's 3 other players in that group. You need guys like that. Then you need guys that are just going to, hey, they just get the job done, right? That's what builds a lineup. That's what makes a team work. So for a team, when you're looking at, do we have the firepower? Anthony Santander sits there and you go, yeah, like, why wouldn't you want him? And I know that the downside here, let's just play this because the Nelson Cruz comp is intriguing. But the one thing that scares people away is that at least Nelson, for the majority, at least down the stretch for Nelson, if you look at some of his numbers, look, there was a little bit of a fall off on some average, but in his heyday, like starting at the the last couple of years, actually just in Texas in general. Goodness gracious. So we'll go from there. 260 was the low point for him hitting for almost 9 years. And then he hit 256 in Seattle in 2018. That was the lowest point. But in between there is anything as high as I think the highest batting average he had in his career was 311. But the lowest one that he had was 226, not until 2021. So it was a 13-year period of that. Santander, I think what scares people is that he's had one season in the last 4 years where he's hit over 250 and actually hit over 241 to be exact. So if there's one thing they're looking at for him is that if he's not hitting the big ball and you're cool with that, he hits 40 jacks, then you live with the 230, you live with the 240. If he's not doing that, then you're worried about the other side of it. And I think that's kind of why that's to me what people are looking at. Teoscar Hernandez and him are actually very similar in some cases. The biggest difference was how they each handle a specific count. I think it was in 2-2 counts. Teoscar's hitting almost 100 points higher than Santander. So it's like little things, right? So, and the clutch factor, Teoscar in the playoffs was phenomenal. I think that's what teams are looking for, but I'm with you. I think that people don't have to overthink it. Do you need power in your lineup?
Exactly.
Yes. Do you want a guy that can help your team? Yes. And if that's the answer and you have the spot, then go get the damn guy. Because Tony Taters is going to be – tell you one thing, Tony doesn't care if he's slumping. Or if he does, he ain't showing it. I want a guy like that. He had no worries.
Fire me up.
You want me to tell you a story on opening day?
I do.
Please.
Okay. So I was went down early and, was doing my thing media-wise and went to the clubhouse then early, got to see some of my former teammates in the clubhouse. And say hi to everyone, Dean Kramer, good kid, friend of the show, talked with him for a while, hung out, and then all of a sudden, I get out of there and I got to go do my other pregame work. And as I'm leaving the stadium and I'm going to the parking lot to get my other bag and change, I have to tie my shoe. And I'm tying my shoe, and all of a sudden I hear a guy goes, "Hey, Rican, what's up?" And I look up, and a guy rolls his window all the way down. And it's Santander. And I'm like looking at my watch, and I'm like, "Tony, everyone else is in there." And I said, "Are you late?" And he goes, "No, Poppy, I'm right on time." And then proceeds to go big ball in the second at bat of the game. And I'm like, dude, this guy is just so just unrattled, unfazed. And he's a good guy. But yeah, I got to question him on if he was on time or not. And I'll just say he was the last person I saw go in there for that day.
That's good.
That's good. He's a really good kid. I hope the best for him, man. I wish it worked out. I thought he was going to be a Red Sox too. I did. But
yeah, kind of putting a bow on this though. In regards to the Red Sox, I'd be happy with either of these guys, just on shorter term deals. Anthony Santander, a little more willing to extend that out if necessary, because I do think we're at a point in his career now where we know what it's going to be. But with Flaherty, you talk difference in free agent pitchers versus position players and the inherent risks that come with either camp. I just don't know if Flaherty, like I said, going back to the consistency, I just don't know if it's there, and I'm not willing to risk it. And I'm not saying for the Red Sox. I'm just saying for any team out there. That's probably what a lot of these teams are thinking. Like we're going to try to piecemeal a contract together and not blow the bank on it. Would be my guess.
Can't do it.
Well, Ryan, we don't want to keep you. You're a busy man. As we were talking earlier, I mean, the people have you filming reels, walking down snowy streets. Like, can you tell your people to like just give Ryan a second to breathe.
First
Please.
off.
Ryan, you don't. I'm going to tell you right now. Nobody's going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you. You don't need to be filming reels walking down the street. Get to where you're going safely. The people can wait on the content. We know you like to grind. We know you like to put that content out there, but we need you safe.
Hey, I was snowed in that day. I was checking on my car. It was fine. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. No, okay. I always get self-conscious about these videos, right? Of the selfies. But I'm like, screw it. I'm gonna throw it out there. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get a lot of our baseball scheduling in. Maybe loop you guys in on a normal routine on my side here so you guys can join. We're trying to up our shows to maybe 3-4 times a week. And really get a good baseball feel and lineup. And obviously, my group always loves having you on over there. So we gotta line that up. But it's gonna be a fun year, guys. I gotta fill you in on some things in the works. So we'll see. AL East is gonna be fun too, and it's gonna be painful. It's gonna be stressful.
Yep.
And unlike the National League, it really is just gonna be a wide open race yet again. So. I'm excited. About it.
Before you go, give me a Ravens-Bills score prediction. Drop it on me.
I think it might be a little bit lower scoring. I'm thinking like 24-20 Baltimore. This is the year.
Be able to handle that guy, huh? Mr. Allen?
Well, they did handle him when they won 38-6, I think.
That was a different ball club back then, I think. I don't know.
Well,
I feel it feels like the Super Bowl to me. Like I feel like that game is the Super Bowl. So I'm pumped for it.
It's not the Super Bowl. Just one more game.
I know, but it feels like that's the one. Outside of that, let's go Lions.
Hey, you know what? I'm rooting for Detroit. If in the NFC, except. Shout out to my former teammates, knuckleball legend Mickey Janis, Mike Bauman. They're both Vikings fans. It's tough for them.
It's a tough look. It's a tough
look for them, but it'll all be good. All right, well, you guys be good. I mean, hey, like if you guys are doing this and I'm at home, I'm glad to hop on and answer any baseball questions. That's what I was going to say. Do you guys know how to pull up videos on here? Do you know how to do that? Yes, maybe.
I know how to do all of it. I've studied all this stuff for countless hours. I know exactly what I'm doing.
He has not a clue as to what he's doing. We're gonna be.
I got buttons now.
We're gonna be playing. Castellanos clip talking about Iglesias earlier today. So we'll test out the video game a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. But
yeah, let me know.
Can't wait to see what that beard looks like after another week. We
need to. Now I have to do some. Might have to do some TV work, so we might have to clean it up. Don't hate on me, guys.
Just the neck.
I'm trying, and I got to clean it up for when we're doing this whole new series. Some of my channel members and people know about it. We're interviewing some pretty good players that used to play for a long time.
Plug your stuff before you get out of here.
My name's Ryan.
As he rubs his eyes, that's on brand.
My name's Ryan. I still will be a co-host for the 3-0 Take when I can pop back on, but you can check out what I'm doing just at Ryan Ripken Show for everything. But we'll all get together and get some things going here. We got to. I got some things we need to talk about, Kyle.
I said let's hop on a call, and then you hopped on a jet to the winter meeting. So what can I say? Granted, I gave you like 24 hours notice, so that's on me. But we'll get on a call soon. We'll talk some things through.
We'll go get lunch. We can break down some break down some things.
Talk shop.
Can you send the jet to me so I can come back?
Yeah, by the jet, you mean Southwest Airlines? Sure.
Nah, that ain't it.
That's what we were dealing
Basic
with.
Economy.
Prince of Baltimore don't fly Southwest. Come on.
You know what? When the media empire grows, we can talk differently here. But it'll be an exciting time. I can't wait. Baseball guys right around the corner. Are you guys going to go to spring training?
We've got the All-Star Game and Home Run Derby locked up. I know that much.
Like you're going to it?
We are going to it. We will be in the park.
Uh-oh. Little collab?
Little collab. Get Ryan down there.
Will Atlanta collab? It's already locked in. It's 100% certainty.
Okay. I got some things to think about here.
I mean, I haven't ruled out spring training, but that'd probably be a little bit more of like a on the fly kind of deal. But in terms of plans, we've got the All-Star Game and Home Run Derby locked up. So we will be there.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I'm going to figure out what other obligations I have to do. I will find that Jack Flaherty breakdown sometime, and we will talk about it. And, yeah, we can't wait to talk about more. Get on a regular schedule. Miss you guys. Thank you guys for all you do.
Got to get up to the studio soon as well.
The invitation's there, Nate. Same for you. Just hop on a flight.
Just give me that jet, baby.
Hop on a flight, man. Hey, cheers to the AL East being fun and annoyingly frustrating.
Appreciate you, Ryan. You're a good kid.
See you, buddy.
You're a good kid. All right, guys. See ya.
Ryan Ripken, everybody.
Love that, Ryan Ripken. I don't have claps, so there you go, Ryan. Appreciate you, my friend. Can we talk about, we sort of hinted at it. Let's talk about the chaos that's the Blue Jays. I mean, I had a note here to touch on Jeff Hoffman's deal real quick. But come to find out that apparently they're one of the three finalists for Roki Sasaki. What kind of sick joke is that for Blue Jays fans? There's no chance, no shot you think that you're a legitimate finalist.
I don't understand. I'm so baffled. I'm so lost on everything that organization is. I can't imagine it being a landing spot. I genuinely can't imagine it.
Let's recap what's happened with the Blue Jays the last, call it, 72 hours, 96 hours, whatever that is.
Yeah.
You signed Jeff Hoffman to a 3-year, $33 million contract, and then you find out over the weekend that, the Orioles said, yeah, no thanks. Check the medicals. We're good. And then you find out today that the Atlanta Braves, like Ryan mentioned earlier, were also like, yeah, no, we're good. Check the medicals. No thanks. So in the last 96 hours, we'll call it an even 100. In the last 100 hours for the Toronto Blue Jays, you signed a guy that 2 other teams said no to due to the medicals. And now your fans have the false hope that you're a finalist for one of the more coveted pitching scenarios in all of baseball.
I don't know much more false hope that they can survive, because there was a lot of false hope. A lot of false hope with Ohtani last year. There was a lot. And I'm just lost. I don't know how else to talk about them. I don't know how anyone can be positive about them. I'm so, as a baseball fan, disappointed.
Laura in the chat just says, just put them in Dodger Blue.
Come on,
put everybody
Laura.
in Dodger Blue. Why not?
Relax.
I mean, at this point, it's the most likely scenario, but at this point, knowing that the Blue Jays are not a legitimate contender, legitimate landing spot, I'm kind of pulling for the Padres.
I'd like to see that. I like the commitment to Cease, and I don't know what that shopping Cease trend for a few weeks was about. I hated that. So I like the commitment there. I just love what this is, as far as it gives you. It checks that box of like landing one of the bigger fishes in the free agent off season. It gives you that vibe without breaking the bank, without putting your team so far behind that you can't do other things. And I'm here for it, man. And imagine what that does for that rivalry. It already was an incredible NLCS, and it's going to give you that much more. I need the Dodgers to just let this one go. Let the Padres win something and just close that gap and just get it tighter. It's just, as a baseball fan, I want to see that. I want to see that rivalry grow.
I mean, if we're talking about the Dodgers letting somebody go, if there was anybody this offseason that I thought that maybe they would just let go, it was Hae-Sung Kim. I was like, okay, this is a guy that, you and I talked about it, some buzz surrounding the name. Like, who's gonna land the guy coming overseas? Surely the Dodgers aren't going to bully the rest of the league and go snatch him too. Yeah, that's what the Dodgers go and do. So if they're going to go out and get Hae-Sung Kim, why would they not go get Roki Sasaki?
I know.
And I read today that something that said that he doesn't care about the market or anything. Like, market size isn't a factor.
I'm not buying that anymore.
What are we talking about?
I'm not buying that. I don't know what it is. It pisses me off so much that you see this trinkle. What's the word? It's like a
trinkle. That's new.
I don't think trinkle's a word. I want to say, like, not sprinkle, but trickle. Maybe something like that.
Trickle effect.
Trickle effect. Ripple effect.
It's ripple effect.
I can't stand when I hear that, like, this team is no longer in the running. This team is no longer in the running. Like, it's so, I don't know why it bugs me so much. Why do we only get that with international signings? We never get that with any other free agent. That never happens. You just have your teams that were in the hunt for Soto. And maybe it's just because, like, the price can't be driven up. You know what, Laura? You and I...
She's just trying to put two and two. She's trying to put two and two together. No, I think
some words.
I think you're right. But I think to a point, if there's call it an American, we'll just say a domestic free agent, whether or not they're American, I don't know. But if they're here, such as a Juan Soto, there's a certain caliber of player, I think, where you do hear reports of, like, this team's out of the running. This team's out of the running.
Agreed.
But
if you
to
haven't
your point, though, like the average,
here, it's annoying.
Right? The average ball player who's testing free agency for, maybe we'll call it the first time. You don't necessarily hear that unless they're coming from overseas.
Fair enough.
But yeah, the whole big market or the market size doesn't matter thing. No.
Yeah.
No.
I agree.
Look at the teams that are left, and you're going to tell me the market size doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about?
Yeah. And if you go to Toronto, you have all of Canada as a fan base, which is another.
Which I'm kind of out on the whole, like, you got the whole country. It's like, yeah, but
I feel like
isn't like 90% of Canada just snow at this point? Like, I don't even think people live there.
It's possible.
I don't know anything about Canada.
I personally haven't.
I know Toronto's nice, but
I've heard good things. Yeah. Sorry, Laura. I'm over it now. What's next? What do we got?
Let's talk something that might possibly get you fired up as well. Let's talk Nick Castellanos' comments today. And as I mentioned to our good friend Ryan, I think this might be the first time playing a little video, and this is a perfect opportunity to mention watching the pod on YouTube if that's your thing. You may be able to see the clip that we're about to play. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, I don't know what to tell you. But Nick Castellanos had some controversial comments. I don't know what the show was from today, but it started circulating today on the Chris Rose rotation, talking about Jose Iglesias. So let me see if this will play.
Jose Iglesias ended up on the Mets and had a phenomenal year.
MVP of the National League.
Why?
If you're looking at, like, the MVP as having the most weight on creating wins for your team, there's no other player that has had that much weight as Jose Iglesias, because I think with him being able to come in and bring that Latin spark, knock the ice off of Lindor, finally got Vientos probably comfortable to be able to be an everyday third baseman, and now a bunch of guys that looked like they had no direction, running in all different directions in the beginning of the year. They made the playoffs, got to where they did, while the whole Mets organization had the OMG signs were everywhere from in the city to the stadium. The way I look at baseball, Jose Iglesias is unanimous National League MVP.
Come on. I mean, listen, Shohei went 50-50. You're saying
No
that
doubt.
Jose Iglesias meant more to a team with his galvanizing and his number one pop song because he was able to turn around a franchise for a year?
Yes.
That's not going to work with the sabermetricians. I'm just telling you.
I'm not a sabermetrician. I'm a baseball player. I'm saying that him going to the Mets and being himself got the organization to move in one direction. Shohei Ohtani played a huge part in the Dodgers winning. I don't know if he's the sole purpose of the Dodgers moving in one direction. That doesn't mean that what Shohei did isn't record book worthy and he's not an amazing baseball player. If I'm starting a team, I pick Shohei over Jose. There's no doubt about it. I'm not stupid. But the way that I saw baseball last year through my eyeballs, Jose Iglesias is the National League MVP.
Nicky Castellanos.
Dude,
man.
I swear, with every year that passes, my fandom for Nick Castellanos grows. The legend of this guy just grows every year.
I know.
I mean, there were he had so many one-liners in there where I'm like, I'd put that on a t-shirt and I'd wear that around.
I'm not a sabermetrician. I'm
a
a
baseball player. I mean,
oh man,
and,
I love
and
it.
to his credit, he acknowledges the whole like, look, if I had to start a team, I'm obviously going Shohei. I'm not an idiot. He's like I said, I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
But look, I saw this clip earlier today, and I tweeted out. I said it's easy to laugh at these comments, but until the MLB or just baseball in general explicitly defines what the V in MVP actually stands for, we'll continue to go back and forth on what value actually means. And that's
1,000%.
That's just the truth. So we can sit here and like I've seen people say that this is like the worst baseball take they've ever seen, which like whatever, to each their own. It's probably on paper, maybe it's not the greatest take, but there is some validity to what he's saying. Like if we're talking about value, look at what Jose Iglesias did, maybe not necessarily on the field. Like he had some moments this year for sure, without a doubt. But just like what the value that he brought to the team, you cannot dispute that. And like with that said, am I going to sit here and say that Shohei is not the MVP? Absolutely not. But I 1,000% believe and stand behind and can get behind the sentiment in the comments that he shared on the show.
100%, dude. Like, I think anybody that is going to throw a ton of hate at this doesn't really truly understand like what the structure and development of a clubhouse means and the synergy of a roster. And I think that's what he's talking about most. And if you're talking about a team that needed that synergy more than any other team, and Jose Iglesias provided that, that is the most valuable thing for that organization. The argument and the definition of value can be interchangeable depending on the player and scenario and team. All of that is interchangeable in my mind, from year to year, from player to player, from league to league, from situation to situation. That definition can go back and forth a little bit. And when you're talking about the directionless Mets at that point, needing a veteran who is, in my mind, one of the smoothest glove men we've ever seen, and turning it on and turning the clock back and finding something in himself offensively that I don't know if we've seen at all in his career, while leading a young group, while taking, like he said, he broke the ice for Frankie Lindor, like to be able to just kind of let him sit back and relax and get back to being Mr. Smile. Like, that's what he did for that ball club. That's a huge, huge deal. you talk about value. I don't know how else to define it if we're removing just pure stats and pure numbers. And what I love about his comments is that that's a guy that's been in a clubhouse before, that's been in a winning clubhouse before, that understands how important those players are. And, you know, if we're going to get into the weeds of where we are at in this offseason and where we're at heading into 2025, this is when it's done. It's the names that maybe you're not fully in love with. Maybe it's not the superstardom that you're hoping to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on for your team. It's these types of guys that fill in the gaps, that live up to this role. So I understand what he's saying. Do I agree? Would I change my vote from Ohtani to him? Probably not. But I can absolutely sit here and be on the edge of my seat for that argument.
I love it. Cassie's always caught up in some sort of
sick, dude.
Some sort of controversy. Always, he's caught up in something.
On me. He keeps it 100 every single time he speaks to.
Every time. I love it. I'm here for it. I'm a Cassie guy. Let's talk here real quick before we get to whose quote was this?
Yeah.
Let's actually, I say let's. This is really just a you thing. The whole Yankees fans being banned from all ballparks.
Yeah.
These are, hey, look, these are your guys, man. You speak on
we
it.
We don't.
No. We're not playing this game. Oh, we don't claim these guys. They were they're Yankee fans. They were at Yankee Stadium for the World Series. You claim them by default. I'm sorry.
I'm not claiming them.
Yeah, well, you're going to claim them. Banned by Major League Baseball. And if you don't know, we're talking about the two fans that interfered with Mookie Betts during the World Series game. I think it was game 5. They have been banned by Major League Baseball from all ballparks indefinitely. How they're going to enforce that?
That's what I was.
I don't know.
Say.
I feel like we've had this conversation before.
They deserve the banning. And while I was looking up whose quote was this, I almost went with a quote about this conversation, directly related to fans getting banned, and just there's no way of enforcing. Like, how are you going to enforce it? You have 50,000 fans walking through your gates, and tickets can be shared and texted, and like no one cares. A lady brought in a gun under her belly fat a few years ago. Like, what? No one cares. No one's going. They don't pay these security guards enough. They don't pay these ushers enough to sit there and hunt down some couple idiots that, don't know what they're doing. So thank you, Murray. Murray's always in my corner.
Murray in the chat says, I feel Nate when he says he doesn't claim the stupid fans. I, as a Dodger fan, do not claim the 13,000 drunken, stupid Dodger fans. So yeah, I feel you, Nate. That's I feel you, Murray. Like the Dodgers fans not claiming other Dodgers fans, that's completely acceptable. But Nate, as a Yankees fan, saying that he doesn't claim another Yankees fan,
the rule doesn't apply.
No, the rule absolutely does not apply. That is those are your people, and that was just a despicable act. I mean, there was even headlines that said that they mauled Mookie Betts. It's up for interpretation what exactly happened, but those are ultimately those are your people. So
whatever. We'll see him at the All-Star game.
No doubt. The biggest stage of the summer. We'll see him.
They'll be there.
We'll see him.
Whose quote was this? Whose quote was this? Who said it? Whether it tastes like milk, whether it tastes like wine, we have to find out. Who said it? Was it Kyle or Nate? 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 Whose quote was this?
For those unfamiliar, this is just looking back in the archives and finding stuff that's just a little bit of a gem, maybe something forgotten, maybe we were correct, maybe we were wildly incorrect. but I think this one aged well, buddy.
Before we get into this, just want to pause here real quick. Shout out to the new folks that have joined us. Thanks to Ryan putting the word out for us. The Ryan Ripken family, we appreciate you. We love you all. We welcome you to the 3-0 Take. And as Ryan mentioned, we're going to be doing a lot of content with him this coming season. So stick around. Add us to the queue. Like,
That's
hit the
right.
subscribe button.
We were the ones that Ryan catapulted his career off of. We were the ones that really got the kid going.
And that's not an exaggeration. Like, I wouldn't, because I'm not going to like put him on blast, but like I could show you the text, like the messages where he reached out. It was like, hey, can I get on there? And
Just don't forget about us, you know?
Don't forget about us, Ryan, when the empire takes off. But ultimately, you know, we did very little because, I mean, look at what Ryan's doing now. I mean, he quite literally has like an empire. So he took the little bit that we gave him and just ran
Prince of
with
Baltimore, baby.
And now he's just running the world. But anyway.
All right, fella. You
Whose
ready?
quote is this?
It's a long one, so hang tight. Can we address this Chris Bryant to the Rockies situation? Let me just say this. I've looked at it about a dozen ways. I cannot find an angle on this transaction that makes any sense. Aside from the possibility that Chris Bryant just doesn't care about winning and wants to go out in Denver, which I've been there, you know this, nice place, and maybe he just wants to enjoy mashing at Coors. I don't know. Other than that, there's really no situation. I saw some headline today where it was like the acquisition of Chris Bryant reaffirms the Rockies' belief in themselves. I'm like, what belief? There's no attempt to put together a winning ball club there. What belief are you talking about? 7 years, $182 million. This is episode 266 back in March of 2022.
I'm just going to go ahead and preemptively give myself the correct button because it is me. That's 1,000% me. I mean, I just nailed it with that one.
You sure did, buddy.
I mean, what a joke of a situation that's turned out to be.
Stuck the landing.
I'm not gonna dance on Chris Bryant's grave. Like I'm a Chris Bryant fan. I have nothing against him, but it was a situation just didn't pan out. And I think we and probably a lot of other people probably saw that being the case because it just didn't seem like a fit that made sense. It didn't seem like a fit that was necessarily going to, you know, you hear all the time about change of scenery, and I know it's Coors and all that, but it just didn't seem like a fit that was going to catapult his career to another level. So I'll take the dub on this lone take that I seemingly got right, but yeah,
I think it's just good to remind people, especially this time of year, just remind people that not every move is a good move.
Correct.
And when you get desperate in these times, you're just like, please, I need my team to do something. It's not always worth it. Sometimes no move is the best move. So props to you. You called it. I don't see any kind of resurgence happening on that front. So pretty sure that is going to remain a finely aged quote. I don't think we've missed anything. Yeah,
I don't think so. Yeah, Murray wants the "Whose Quote Is This" song on Spotify. I can't make any promises, but I'll see what I can do. I might just send you the sound file. Which, by the way, like I'm humming that. It sounds pathetic, and it is pathetic. But like for like hours after we record, I'm like humming that to myself.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like doing the drum solos.
Yeah. Paige is in bed, and I'm just gonna be
It's
getting the air drums going.
It's a banger. Yeah. Was I saying something or was that it?
I think that's it. Were you saying something?
Probably. I don't remember.
We're just sending it off.
I'll say we sent it. That was good. That was a great show.
It's a great show.
That was a great show. Shout out to, again, friend of the program,
Yeah.
friend in general, Ryan Ripken.
Yeah. See you guys in a couple days. And you're welcome, because one of those names that we talked about tonight is likely going to sign before that next episode, because that's how it always works with these things. But if not, don't go chasing curveballs.
We love you all, and as always, looking forward to talking more baseball with you guys soon. Until next time, stay filthy.